Hello everyone and welcome back to my today's video. Okay, today discuss about American literature upon the burning our house by Annie Bradstreet. Okay, so first of all we have the historical background of this poem. Written in the 1666 in colonial New England, the poem reflects the Puritan way of life where faith shaped every experience during this period. Fires were common in Warden. Okay. Settlements Bradstreet records her own house fire expressing Puritan beliefs in providence, humility, and spiritual endurance. Okay. So now about the introduction. Upon the burning of our house is a devotional poem by Annie Bradstreet describing the night her home burned down, blending personal grief with strong Puritan faith. The poem reflects her struggle between earthly attachment and spiritual acceptance of God's will. So now about the moment, Puritan moment. Annie Bradstreet belonged to the Puritan literary movement, 17th century religious and cultural movement in the New England. Puritan writing focused on simplicity, moral discipline, devotion to God, self-examination, and acceptance of divine will. This poem reflects Puritan beliefs such as dependence on God, rejection of materialism, and viewing worldly suffering as part of God's larger spiritual plan. Okay, so the Puritanism is a completely strict. Okay, so summary about the poem. The poem describes a real 11 event when any Bradstreet's house caught fire late at night. She wakes up suddenly to the sound of someone is crying. Out that the house is burning, she rushes outside and watches helplessly as flames destroy her home and all her belongings. She feels deep sorrow because her house held many memories, family gathering, moments of joy in her daily life. Okay? Then, however, after her initial grief, she reminds herself as her Puritan faith, according to her belief, God owns everything and humans must accept His will. She tells herself that earthly positions are temporary and can disappear at any moment. Though she has lost her home, she believes God has prepared a permanent house on high heaven for her, which is far more valuable than anything on earth. In the end, she accepts the loss peacefully saying that her true treasure and hope lie in heaven, not in worldly goods. Okay, so now important themes in this poem: loss and human grief. The poem reveals Bradstreet's genuine sorrow as the watches her home burn. Her emotional pain shows that human side of loss and attachment to memories and worldly comfort. Faith in divine providence. As a Puritan, she believes God controls everything. The fire is seen as God's will, and she accepts it with humility, trusting that God has a greater purpose. Materialism versus spirituality. Bradstreet criticizes her attachment to earthly positions. She reminds herself that worldly goods are temporary, while spiritual treasure, the heavenly sum, is eternal. Puritan ideals and religious acceptance. The poem reflects Puritan values: simplicity, humility, surrender to God's will, and belief in salvation. Her suffering becomes a lesson in strengthening her spiritual life. Imagery in the upon the burning of our house. Annie Bradstreet uses vivid visual, auditory, and emotional imagery to make the fire scene realistic and powerful. Some key types. Number one, visual imagery. She describes what she sees during the fire. The light did spoil, bright flames. Flame consumed my dwelling place, house burning. Okay. Mighty architect building a heavenly home. These images help reader picture the destruction and the spiritual contrast. Auditory sound, imagery, a fearful sound of fire, fire, fire. Okay, that is then auditory imagery, sound. Then the emotional imagery, her sorrow and at losing memories. Spiritual imagery, house on high erect, mighty architect. So, objective of this poem: The objective of it is to express the poet's emotional response to the burning of her house and to show how her Puritan faith helps her overcome to grief. It teaches that earthly positions are temporary and true treasure lies in God's eternal home. Why Annie Bradstreet wrote this poem? Annie Bradstreet wrote this poem to record a real personal tragedy that occurred in the 1666. Okay, when her house was destroyed by fire. Through writing, she reflects on her human sorrow at losing home and belongings. Okay, her religious struggle to accept God's will. The Puritan believed that suffering defends faith, humility, and spiritual awareness. She wrote it as a form of self-examination, showing how faith guides a believer from grief to spiritual acceptance. That's it about this poem. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. Bye bye.